Hello and welcome. My name is Heather Smith, and this is the podcast for the accounting technology enthusiasts out there, where we share with you features, functionalities, and updates from June, July 2024. Hopefully, we shall leave you with some practical information that you can absorb and explore immediately. So today, I'm joined by Tyler Caskey, technology enthusiast, chartered accountant, and partner at the Bean Counters. Tyler tackles, unravels, and rolls out big change management projects. Tyler, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Heather. It's good to be here.
So how have you been? I think you've been traveling. What have you been up to since we last spoke?
Yeah, appreciate it. Our team's been working on probably one of our bigger projects ever. We did a time and billing and ERP system install for a global organization based out of London, Washington, DC, and New York. And now we're at the HR and payroll stage, which is probably my speciality. So I've been in London and Belgium, and now I've parked myself in Croatia just because it's the cheapest accommodation I can get on the beach, which still means I can take meetings, in US and UK time zones. And helping a client install a big HR and payroll system. And whenever I can, I'm jumping in the Mediterranean Sea and drinking a lovely coffee.
Fantastic. You're making me think that I think today, as we're recording it, it's actually George Michael's Careless Whisper anniversary, 40-year anniversary. And he was quite the Mediterranean man, which was a bit of a diversion from accounting technology. But I know a lot of accountants out there like George Michael. So, Tyler, before we jump into app news, I know that you are interested in talking about a few things, bringing a few things. First of all, what are some of your favorite things out there that you've been using?
Yeah, and I'm really interested in technology that people are using on their phone a lot more now, especially as our business grows a little bit, and I'm managing our business and our numbers and invoicing through apps. And I've been talking to Natalie, one of the other accounting firm partners. She's a Xero partner as well, and her and I have talked quite. Yeah,
No.
We've talked a lot about the use of the Xero app, and how she actually doesn't recommend people using the Xero app for their books because they can make mistakes, and I'm starting to push it more and more and more. Especially myself, I'm really using the app more and more to do my bookkeeping and receipting. I find it the fastest way. I'm getting about 90% of my functions from that. Have you tried it? Do you use the Xero app? Have you recommended it? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do use the app, probably not as extensively, but when I am on the go, I'll definitely use it. And I think it also kind of fills in with those odd periods of time when you don't have necessarily anything that you can actually do, but you're kind of out and about. You can grab it. And one of the other things about the apps, which I came to fruition when I attended World Congress of Accountants, was a lot of the African countries didn't use laptops. They all came to the event with these giant iPads that I had never seen, such a big iPad. And it's interesting, the mobile devices, the size, the size that people have of different mobile devices, and how they're using them. Are you seeing a difference in size of mobile devices across Europe?
It's surprisingly, the iPhone is a lot less in Europe than I've seen in Australia and New Zealand, which is, I'd call it iPhone central. And I do know what you mean. People are really adapting their business world to their iPhone. If I look at meeting schedules now, meetings are a heavy part of my day. I'm probably 3 to 4 hours of my 8 that are meetings. And, so being able to do that just on Teams or Zoom, on your phone with a pair of headphones can sometimes actually be a higher quality meeting experience than laptops and, the headphones that maybe aren't that great, or the speaker isn't that great as well. It's been a great play. I've seen it move.
Yeah, no, it is interesting, and it's always worth testing it out and trying it out. And one of the things, like I do a lot of writing about apps on the mobile device, so it is very interesting. Now, enough.
Can I jump in on there? That the one I do love, and um, I'm a big fan of auto reminders in the Zero app. Right, I think it's. I remember working with a business, and we moved their debtors from 2.5 million down to 1.5 million, literally just by installing Stripe, um, sending out auto reminders, and like doing their receipting right. And that auto reminder function I think is awesome. But if you do your receipting fast enough, then your auto reminders will go out to clients that owe you bills, and that's why I've been using the app quite a lot, is to add payments on those
Mm.
client invoices. And yeah, that's been the one I've been a big fan of. Um, I'll jump to that second part of the segment though. Is the biggest pain point in tech that we're trying to solve at the moment. Um, and I'm really, I'm very aware that a lot of people have spent a lot of time trying to train people on systems. You've written the Zero for Dummies book, and it's the way people absorb information about a new piece of tech is very diverse. Some people are listeners, some people need to touch, some people need to read, some people need pictures, those types of things. What have you seen in the training market? What do you see as some of the best ways to train people on new systems?
I very much encourage all of the apps, whenever they're releasing new technology, to release separate blog posts about all of the technology and provide education, provide that training education. Um, and GIFs are a really good way of actually showing how to do something. So you can upload the GIF into the blog post. Um, and I think that everyone can absorb at least 15 minutes of training a week. And if people are publishing that through their blog posts, I know that's very, very simple, but so many apps do not release in detail how to use their features and functionalities. And that's such a low-hanging, easy fruit to do. And people do have the time to read that and absorb that and push it out amongst other people in their team. And training keeps people sticky, keeps people involved in what's how to use the solution.
Yep.
I sit in so many webinars learning and relearning how to use the solutions that I have. And I'm sure other people don't have that sort of time and are not putting that sort of commitment. But again, they can be really useful. And it's so frustrating when there's one feature that you're just not aware of that is just going to shift the dial and make things so much easier for you.
Yeah, I'm really happy I asked on this one, because for me, it's a lot of our business, our job is to get people, we install technology, help them choose it, but we also it's irrelevant what technology we choose unless the people are trained well on it. So we often help people choose systems that have short learning curves, that have good training protocols, and are very intuitive in nature, because I remember in my time, like getting up and running on Sol 6 back in 2001, and it was like 4 months until I was like, I would say, really good. You know, where now, I can kind of sniff test a new system within a couple days. Um, the place I'm really interested in is around, I love what you said about GIFs and, quickly absorb technology. There's something about not having to click go on a video where you just scroll onto a web page, or now even on an email, and like the click guide kind of comes up. I think that's like absolutely brilliant. The other one I'm really looking at is, like, I kind of see it as the four pillars of training. Like, are you a listening trainer? Do you need to listen to someone talking about it? Do you need to touch it? And, or do you need kind of someone to guide you through it? And, I think there's a bit of a hole in the market around, guiding people on new systems. And, it's one of the pain points, I'm looking at for our business long term, is how can we, provide that at a reasonable cost to the market?
I think there's a massive hole. I think the accountants and bookkeepers, some of them are very do not want to provide training whatsoever, which is fine. That's completely fine if that's not their service offering. But the people who do, and such as myself, who was always training people constantly, I'd encourage them to push into that area, but also for the solutions to embrace them as partners and to roll them out as trainers, because the number one thing that I choose for technology, the number one criteria is support. And that support simply can be enough people in the town who can offer training. Because if there's no
Yep.
one in the town who can offer training, if there's no one in the city who can offer training, just don't go there.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely one of the main takes, main requirements for any new system is support, as well as being intuitive and being able to get the end result as well. Yeah, like if you almost fail on one of those pillars, like all the other ones don't matter.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And hopefully this podcast that we do, all of the audio people who learn via audio are picking up something, and maybe they'll go and it'll pique their interest, and they'll go and explore further, and maybe more people will take up training, or actually just offer as a service offering for them for their existing clients. I'm always like, grow your clients bigger rather than
Yep.
grow more, rather than keep acquiring more clients. So should we jump into app news?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to go through app news. Something that I actually missed happened back in May was that Sin7, the inventory company, acquired AI forecasting company Inventoro. Had you heard of that?
I hadn't heard of the app, but inventory forecasting is something I've been looking at every single week for 5 years, is probably the answer. Um, yeah, I've got like a couple retail clients with big businesses, brick and mortar stores plus online plus wholesales, and Inventory Planner, one of the main market players there, is a fantastic system, but it's crazy expensive. Like it charges people per SKU. So if you're a low volume, high price, it makes sense. But if you're a high volume, low price, Inventory Planner is like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And so like I'm really interested in this acquisition. I hope they roll it out to Sin7 Core and Sin7 Omni, like their mid market and major market players. And I think this is one of the hardest things on inventory planners. And what I'm still seeing at the moment is founders are the people that are like sniff testing when inventory is low rather than, paying for systems. So I think it's great that this is becoming a core part of their business.
You would think AI is all about data and algorithms, and you would think that this is something that is really possible and really because inventory is data, and you've got the algorithms across of what you're forecasting. So, it'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see how it rolls out and how it's adopted.
And
Now,
it was just one more of that. There is my sentence to one of our retailers was: "There's no easier way to annoy a customer by not having their favorite piece of product in store." So it really matters to like longevity of customers.
yes, absolutely. So, another, not exactly tech news, but interesting news around Zoho. Zoho, which is a sort of a billion-dollar company based in India, with 100 million users globally, has established offices in, of all places, Adelaide, or Radelaide, as the Adelaideans would like us to call it. And I have been somewhat confused by Zoho, but I have spent some time talking to the team there. And what I didn't understand was it's a full business suite of solutions. And it has like 90 different solutions, including a practice management solution for an accounting practice that is free for up to 5 people.
Yeah, I have been watching Zoho and Udo or Udo, apologies, as the mid-market players for a long, long time. You know, you and I have talked before, especially about the not the gap, but like the next step up in the market. After if someone's too big for the QuickBooks, MyOb, and Xero online business, they've got maybe more than 2 or 3 thousand transactions, client invoices or bills per month. It's a big decision for them to move to NetSuite or Microsoft Business Central. And, I've even heard people say, oh, let's go to SAP. And I'm like, oh, you need a B behind your revenue before you even like say those words. But I do think there's a real market here. I think the mid-market in Australia, my Advanced, which I know we're going to talk about, it's just rebranded, has been working in that market. And it's good to see Zoho, move into here. I don't think it's a market QuickBooks and Xero necessarily want to play. And I like the way that they are modular. I like that, I can buy a CRM, I can buy the accounting side, um, you know, but I do think it can turn into a bit of a black box system. They've got one digital signing platform, whereas if I'm on Xero, I can choose almost any integrated digital signing platform. Like us as a business, we use Anature, and literally it connected to our business within about 40 seconds, and it's market leading and so easy to use. And I will be staying as close as I can to Zoho, because we do get asked that question of, we've got about 3,000 transactions. What should we do? Should we spend a couple $100,000 installing NetSuite? And it's a really big decision for a lot of clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And it is interesting how it's not a probably this is the accountant in me coming out is I look at the GLs as being central and all the apps sitting around it. And whereas Zoho comes out into the market almost like a flat modular, we do everything, nothing is our main core. We're sort of sitting that flat doing all of the business operations, which is a different way. It took me a while to get my head around how they were rolling it out. So it is interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And it's completely online. It's built online. There's no, I don't think they have a lot of historical handbrakes in their system to enable, new technology rollouts. So, it's cool. Like if you want a CRM, you can just grab their CRM and it turns into one next to their general ledger as well. And I think, I like the model. Like in my head, it kind of looks like a beehive, when they push it together.
Yes, probably that's but it's not slap model, a beehive model. I think that's what they're going as well.
Yeah.
So another big change in the market is Dext. So I sat in on their webinar, and they're upgrading their core Dext Prepare product and combining it with features from Dext Precision and Dext Commerce to give you a seamless experience. And they're talking about releasing new features such as integrated approvals, mileage tracking, and supplier statement extractions. And fun fact, it's been 11 years since I uploaded my first receipt into Spec, which is Dext.
I am all for this. I think there is still a major opportunity in the market and use for Dext. You know, maybe their innovation movements could be a little quicker in my mind. But like it's really good to see that they're moving, these together for a bit of a seamless experience. I've been a receipt bank. I was a receipt bank user since 2018. Really positive for accounting firms and bookkeeping businesses, especially. It really helped remove some of the pain point between, communications between accountants and clients. Where we used it as a business, which I think was where Dex Commerce came in, or Dex came in, was, we had directors in a design business that had credit cards or Amex cards. And, we use Dex to effectively create the upload of those receipts. Where I would love to see this market go, and if anyone is listening in this credit card market, like, I will personally invest as much money as I have to help you do this. But for me, businesses like Airwallex and Wheel and OFX/Paytron and ProSpend, they're fantastic at giving you debit cards or sometimes charge cards, so you can spend company money, and then it creates a to-do list, for the spender to do their receipts. But we still have this huge gap in the accounting market where people love their points. They love their NAB Visa, Qantas card. They love their Amex cards, and there's no way where they're giving them up. And Dex is the master switch between the accounting system and those cards. And I just would love to see the speed of that market improve. And it's very, very hard, because it kind of comes back to our live banking conversations of, when someone spends something on an Amex card, the best time for them to capture that expense is literally right then. Like, take a photo, create the to-do list. And I think Dex is the closest player in the market to creating a to-do list rather than the to-do list for the accountant, then chasing the owners, and doing a match. It's really about, Amex and Dex and the Visa cards and Dex getting closer so we can, keep the speed of processing into the accounting systems as fast as we can and as low pain as we can. Because even me, I struggle to remember where I bought a coffee from 4 days ago, let alone 4 weeks ago. And there's no faster way to annoy a business owner and say, what was this $11 expense?
Yeah.
4 weeks ago.
And then it's terrible when you're traveling and you're trying to work out where things are and you can't even read half the receipts and trying to follow them. But absolutely. And I guess it would be interesting in terms of Visa and MasterCard or Amex, whether they develop an open relationship with multiple solutions or have a closed relationship, even with their own solution, rolling it out.
Yeah. And it's like, they really need to step up credit cards, if I'm being honest. If I look at the market levels, I'm looking at like Wheel, Airwallex, OFX. I was getting as close to live banking as I can. And I feel like I talk about this every episode, but it's such a big, exciting area for me. The banks are still on the 5-day a week, Tuesday to Sunday bank feeds, where credit cards, they're on the 5 days, but sometimes they come in at like 2 a.m. in the morning. And I know that because I'm working in Europe at the moment. And then other times, the transactions take 5 days to get into your accounting system or even to show on your app. And I just think the credit card market is like absolutely slipping behind. So anyone that is working in live banking and live data transaction capture in the credit card market, give me a call. I will write you a check if of anything. It might be for $10, but that's totally fine.
Well, I'm going over to Nashville XeroCon, and I think Joseph from Relay Banking will be there. So I will have a chat with him, seeing whether he's rolling that out, and let him know what you're after. Because,
big fan.
Yeah, like crazy that we know a guy who started a bank. I just didn't think that was possible. But we'll have that conversation with him. So next on the list, we have Ignition. And the co-founder of Ignition, Dane Thomas, wrote an article about 4 recent updates, proposal add-ons, discounts, a new billing hub, and instant billing. So I'm not sure whether you've had a chance to have a look at this. And I think they use GIFs in the blog post. Yes, they use GIFs in the blog post, and it was a nice blog post. No, it was
they
nice
did.
blog post. They do good content at Ignition, so I was happy with that. And the proposal add-ons were looking very sort of simplistic terms. It's kind of like, would you like fries with your tax services? Giving clients the options to just tick something really easily and add it to the purchase. Discounts, highlighting discounts available to you if you do something. And instant billing, encouraging you to bill for ad hoc or out of scope work, something that Ignition are always drilling into us. Do not do out of scope work until you've got it agreed for.
Yeah, I am a big fan of Ignition. Every single accounting firm that I work with, I always say, let's talk Ignition. Some people, struggle with the 2.7%, fee capture that they have, but I think it's worth every penny. You know, I love the minor increments in billing that they've done here. The ad hoc billing, the goal for me is for billing is it needs to be simple, number one, and then like reliable, number two. And if they're getting close to mastering that, because for an accounting firm especially, there's three ways to bill a client if you're an Ignition and Xero practice. You could bill out of Ignition, you could bill out of Xero Practice Manager, or you could bill out of Xero Blue. And that the three-way decision can become a bit much, especially if you're like new to the business. And we all know that the assistants are the ones that often get stuck with the billing in accounting firms. So conceptually, I think the more, if you're an Ignition practice, the more we can have our ad hoc billing going in there, the better. I would love to see it starting to link to timesheets and WIP, because there are timesheet and WIP businesses out there that do that type of work. Obviously, Ignition changed the market for the recurring billing kind of practices. And like as you said, like the discounts and add-ons, I think are super smart. I know Ignition is in the process, if they haven't already released it, of re-embedding purchasing from accounting firm websites. So, you used to be able to jump onto, and it's quite interesting, but 5 years ago or 4 years ago, you used to be able to jump onto an accounting firm website and say, I want this, this, and this. And then that got removed, and now they're looking at embedding that again. And so if someone goes, yes, I want accounting and tax return services, when they get to the proposal stage, now they can go, hey, do you have a car? Would you like your FBT return done with that? And I think that add-on just makes it a much easier experience for the client. And also it reduces the amount of conversations that an accountant has to have, explain what FBT has. And so I'm a huge fan of if you're an accounting firm, look at this. We've helped quite a few businesses install Ignition. We're in the middle of one right now. And I just think it's a game changer if you can, adapt it to your practice or your practice suits.
Fantastic. Well, let's hope Dane, I'm not sure who the product manager is, but let's hope Dane listens to this and takes them back to the product manager for us so we can talk about future updates. Now, Apple are bringing ChatGPT to iPhones in an AI overhaul, and they're calling it Apple Intelligence.
Awesome. I'm for it. Apple's been the market leader in phones talking to us. I talk to Siri more than I care to admit, but our house is an Apple house. So we talk to Siri for music, we talk to Siri for weather and time and all that type of stuff. And, now being able to enable Siri to create conversational answers back, I think is fantastic. I like the ability of ChatGPT or Apple Intelligence to create a gathering of data in a really summarized way. And, I know on the article you and I looked through, it really just took a whole bunch of web results and summarized it into a short thing, I think, for a recipe. Give me the best recipe for this. But in my head, I mean, selfishly, I'm looking at it going, hey Siri, name the top 4 restaurants in the area I'm in now, and doing it as a summarized way. But I think this is just another beautiful step in, simplifying our web searching is probably where my brain goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you see? What do you see on it?
It seems to be just moving so much faster than anything else. And I'm a G Suite user and a Google Home user, and it just seems to have tripped up over itself for the last 6 months. Like every third time it's not working, and I'm like, what's going on? And Google keeps dropping things out of the solution. And it's just like going, what's going on? Things that I like have left. But hopefully they're recalibrating so that they can adopt some being a Google Home, I'm sad that Look up ChatGPT. So,
Yeah, I think Amazon was probably the market leader in communication software.
yeah.
Like I remember I was visiting my older cousin in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was in the spare bedroom, and her son, so my cousin's son, was in the bedroom next to us, and his alarm went off at like 7 o'clock, and this is like I'm talking like 2017, and I just hear this little American kid, "Hey, Alexa, turn this off," and it's just I love the way it's moved, but I actually do. I'd be surprised if Amazon doesn't come out with something like really strong soon because they've had this market for a while.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, moving on. Lightyear, the detailed receipt scanning solution with robust approvals, has introduced biometrics ID. So you can sign in on the Lightyear mobile app by Face ID or fingerprint ID.
Yeah, this is good. The more controls we can have around bill and bill approval processes, and making sure it's actually the real person that has it is super smart, and it needs to be fast. This is the key. I think that Lightyear has identified is if I send a $70,000 bill to my head of sales and then my CEO for approval, I need to make sure it's them. And for a long time, people have asked for emails with
Passwords on them.
attach or no, even like attachments in there or like cookies in there that like is this bill approved? Yes or no? Um, and that's fine, but like for large amounts of money, we need to make sure that it is that person. So, if your emails got hacked, now this is kind of a good way of saying, hey, Heather, you've got a $70,000 bill from Tyler to approve. Once you click on yes on that bill or okay to approve, how fast can you log into that system and the system can verify it's you? Because like emails are probably the easiest hack for fraudulent transactions at the moment. But it's good to see Lightyear putting like another really strong sense of security in there. And honestly, I would say it's market leading. The other apps like Airwallex and Patreon and those and ProSpend, I'm sure they coming on this path very soon.
Absolutely. Let's see now. Translucent has released some useful features that for those managing multi-entity solutions. The intercompany loan matrix instantly shows if your loan accounts are in balance and allows you to make adjustments back to all of your entities. They've introduced a new group accounts payable, accounts receivable report, so you have visibility over all outstandings in one place. And they've released a snippet of the next app they're working on, which offers treasury functionality. The first release allows you to consolidate all your bank balances in one place to get an instant cash position. And next one up is Employment Hero, which now has offered Smart Match that will check a candidate's interest level for new jobs and auto shortlist those who are interested. Is introducing internal job posting within the Swag app, which is one of their sort of app solutions. And they have this kind of interesting new shift bidding feature allowing you to create open shifts for employees to claim their shifts, and they're automatically assigned to a first employer who claims the shift. So I
Yeah.
presume you've had a go at some of these.
I've had a go. I've touched every single corner of this, and I've installed the recruitment system now about 5 times. Um, the recruitment system is nothing short of amazing. Employment Hero has the chance, in my opinion, to eat a huge piece of the market from LinkedIn and Seek. It
Oh,
is, oh yeah, it is like, and I'm not underdoing this. I don't know who their programmer was or who their product manager was, but it's phenomenal. And we like an Employment Hero as a business. I've been installing it since I was the CFO in like 2018, and their recruitment system is A, simple, and then B, it's got this beautiful stepped phase, which I think is awesome. And I was helping a not-for-profit about 2 months ago demo. They were already on Employment Hero, and then I met their head of psychology who managed like a large group of psychologists. And I'm talking like 300. And so in 300, like you get like a lot of people coming and going as they move cities or, match the business or don't, or match the entity or not. And within about 5 seconds, well, within about 5 minutes, I asked her to share a screen, make one of the job ads in their recruitment system. And we just went through like a dummy job ad. And you can post these job ads from Employment Hero into about 9 systems, including Seek and LinkedIn. But at the end of that, after the job ad had been created, it automatically had scanned all the people in the Employment Hero world because it's got access to their their data. So anyone that's not a current employee, it had scanned through and said, "Oh, Tyler used to be a CFO at IA Design. Maybe he is looking for this job if it was a CFO job," and effectively created like not a short list, but like almost like a long list of potential people that could match it. And it is, I'm like, for the first time, I don't give out 10 out of 10s, but their smart match system is a 10 out of 10. It's phenomenal.
So if Tyler is in the system but doesn't want to be found, does he have the opportunity to data protect himself?
I think the answer is yes. I got asked
out there before everyone starts freaking out. And it's people who are unemployed. What about someone who's casual but seeking a job, I wonder?
Yeah, we had that discussion. I've gone to all of their webinars and meetings. I even had an in-person meeting about the Smart Match one in Sydney. Yes, there are ways. Their goal here is not to poach from company A to company B. So they're trying to be very ethical about it. They've taken a lot of feedback. I'm very sure there's like a turn off function, but I'll make sure I note that for the next time. And yeah, that they on the casual side, there's a really interesting part. And my brain, like everyone goes, oh, think about what's it like with Uber. If you've got a casual that's working 10 hours a week, they've actually done some really intelligent work around a casual that might be doing 10 hours, but there's a job in the local area, with another 20 hours. So they are pushing people with certain characteristics of hours per week that could assist, which I think is fantastic because there's so many youngins. I remember being a youngin, like selling suits through university. And if someone said, hey, another suit store has got 20 hours here, I'd be like, that would be amazing. It would have changed my, how poor I was as a university student. So,
especially if they're coming to you and you're not constantly searching for them as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be positive here about Employment Hero, but I'll give them a little come on, you're a bit late here on the shift bidding on their rosters. Like Deputy has had this for donkey's years, they just should have had it ages ago. But I know they are doing moves on their rostering, and their internal job posting. I like that. That one is a time save because as a HR professional, you don't quite know where to put an internal job. Like, do you post it on the website? Then the intranet we used to have, intranets are dying. Do you put it on Teams? Teams are starting to the chat of theirs, starting to outweigh. Yeah, it becomes too much. So I really like the internal job posting. I think that's a really smart play.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And Gusto, based out of the US. I'm trying to think where they're based off. I'm not even sure. Maybe it's Denver, but they have offices in a number of places. So Gusto, which is the payroll solution, has launched in Australia an all-in-one platform for managing all over the world teams. So Gusto is a big solution in America, and I know I'm going to visit the team in New York next month. So, Have you come across Gusto?
So many times. I've helped quite a few American businesses move from, maybe QuickBooks to Xero if they asked, and the Gusto and Xero are best friends in America, and it's been very cool to watch how loved they are. One of the people I'm close to online is Nicole McKenzie out of San Francisco. Runs a fantastic social media platform is probably the answer, but she also runs a really strong accounting and bookkeeping business. Um, and Gusto's her go-to. It's their default platform. And I've looked at it for quite a few clients, and I've never got the chance to install it, but every time we've tested it and demoed it, it's simple, it's easy to use. It does the state tax and Fed tax numbers right, which are incredibly complex in America. And I've just been through that for the last 12 months of working with systems that do the state tax and Fed tax right, and all their social securities and Medicares. So, I do think this is a big move.
Yeah.
Like there is a big gap in the market, in my opinion, from zero payroll into the next big payroll systems. And I reckon Gusto's got that mid-market where they might just start to take a big chunk of the market share.
Yeah, and the person who heads up accounting and bookkeeping partnerships, Will Lopez, has been very much about people advisory and human advisory, and has rolled out programs supporting that. So it'll be interesting if they come here in Australia too. But
Mm.
something to monitor and look out for. Now, this was my favorite update of all the updates that happened because I got my friend to show me how it worked. This is Process Street, which is a sort of a solution that helps you put all of the processes in place so people can follow them. And what they've introduced is you can upload a visual of a workflow. So maybe you've designed a workflow with crayons or pens and you've just written it out. And what she did was she had this very complex workflow, and she uploaded the image, and within 4 seconds, it had developed the full rollout of the processes, tagged all the relevant people, and my friend who is and Process Street Expert was quite excited by it too. So I was just very excited that it was using its AI to read the flowchart, to upload it, and develop workflows out of it.
Yeah, this for me is a awesome opportunity in the market to enable businesses that are at that stage, where they need to develop training and processes, or I also think about like system integrations in a quick and easy way. You know, I forever am drawing how things should work, how things connect together. Like myself, I'm I love listening to learn, but like I really need to see a process from A to Z on like one page almost to understand it. And I work with a product manager out of Malaysia who has he uses Make a lot. And I noticed Process Street connects with Make. So Make is like next step up from Zapier. It's a really customizable kind of system. And I think this market is extremely good for businesses with high risk processes that want to document them really quickly for training or new users, or also to like look at bottlenecks, to look at if you get a new user and you want to demonstrate how something should happen, how quickly can you create that documents? Because honestly, like it takes ages
Yeah.
to do those, and they look very unprofessional. And I remember the days of being a CFO standing there with my new users on a whiteboard, just drawing, okay, this is where the lawyers do their timesheet, and this is where we do the billing from, and this is where the section is, and this is where our reports come from. And so I think the more we can use products like this, is good. I'm really interested in like this system. What are your thoughts on, say, Process Street, who also now does jobs, and competitors to, say, Monday, who's like a task management job tracking system? Like, do you think they're going to take this and then compete there?
I Look, I think they're all reasonably interesting solutions, and I think you really there's so much depth to them that you kind of have to pick one and just really, really understand how it works. And I know that that's one for when I have some bandwidth to learn Process Street, because it does seem like, and the fact that it's integrating with uh, ChatGPT and AI and just
Everything.
yeah, it's just
The
really
integrations. The integration page is like it scrolls long. Like they
scrolls
integrate
long.
with yeah, it's huge. But you're so right about the job market system and the task management. Like you almost just need to pick one and go. Like I've found some people love Monday. Like, you know, they love it, love it, love it. And I've seen businesses like accounting and research and development firms take it to like the nth level. But it doesn't connect that well to many things, you know,
Uh,
because I think it's starting to become almost like you know, a bit of an ERP kind of play. People are even doing billing out of Monday now, which like, yeah, my brain, like, I think they're hacking it to get billing out. So I do think there's a bit of a market here in that job space and task management space.
And I think that when accountants are out there and frustrated by compliance, there's a lot of areas like this to explore that are interesting and fun and
Mm,
intellectually challenging. And I'm always encouraging people to sort of further explore these opportunities. But
yeah.
let's move on. Let's move on and get through a couple more app news, and then we'll move to GL news.
Mm,
So XBert has released an AI power. So XBert is the AI powered work intelligence solution that does quality checks of your data. And what they've introduced are customizable experts. So they have about 80 sitting in there that are default that everyone accesses, but you can go and customize and develop one. So you could go and say, has the GL had a journal entry entered on the 30th of June ever, and it will alert you if anything's entered there. Something like that.
yeah. You know, to start with, if I'm an accounting firm, or a large Xero or QuickBooks or MyOb group, I'm putting Expert in to start with, without doubt.
Mm.
Its ability, Expert can take away about 30 to 40% of what a CFO can review in a set of financials. And I'm talking, you know, incorrect GL codings, customer codings, its ability to pick up bad GSTs, you know, like I claimed GST on a bank fee that wasn't a merchant fee, you know, is really strong. And like those little details, like they're just a pain in the butt to amend as a CFO. So
Yeah.
I love it for its data quality testing. So if you're an accountant in an accounting firm, dear Lord, just touch Expert once, connect 1 Xero file, and see how good it is.
And
And
if you
what
even if
I
you next one, you're gonna find dollars. Like
yeah.
you're gonna find dollars instantly because stuff will come up.
Yeah, and like as you said, there are 80. Sometimes when I got into Expert at the start, I got a bit overwhelmed. I was like, why is it telling me that my debt is bad? I'm like, I know my debt is bad, right? But it's, you know, it's really trying to help you focus in on like, in my opinion, it takes like the brains of like 20 years of a CFO that has been looking at books and can pick up errors. It's trying to automate that process. You know, which is, if you're looking at a lot of clients, it's really helpful.
Yes, yes, yeah. That's a nuanced understanding we get from us long-term
Yeah.
working in the accounts. But
And
is it
so like
our job? Is it taking our job?
yeah. And so now the customized experts I think are cool. So like I don't care if sales fluctuate up and down by 10%, right? But maybe I really do care if you know, entertainment expense fluctuates up and down by 40%. So like being able to go, if this does outside of this range, now flag it. And I just think it's a, you know, very intuitive next step for their business.
Yes, it is. They're very, very sleek and very, very sensible. And the last in our app news is that NetGain has released a solution called Netcash, which helps NetSuite users, there's a lot of nets happening there, get easier bank feeds. It's still imported, it's just improved, and it uses the transactions not matching the transactions. So that's a new feature functionality released there.
Yeah, big fan. If you're a NetSuite user, look at net cash. It just speeds up bank recs.
Excellent. And okay, moving to the bigger end, the GL news. So in Xero, so some of the things that happen in Xero is Jobber. Is a solution for service businesses to help manage their operations and custom efficiently, and customers can now connect their account to their Xero organization, syncing contact and invoice information from Jobber to Xero.
Yeah, the more we can have in this market, the better. I think anytime you do an invoice and it doesn't natively push into your accounting system is a pain. So I'm a big fan of like a single source of truth of customer names, and I cannot express the amount of clients I've worked with on their books, and they've got five contact cards for one company. And if you look back to Xero is one of the first businesses that did the merge and archive of contacts in a really, really good way. So, I'm a fan of their connection. The more they can connect to simplified billing and simplified contacts, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that we've talked about in every episode so far, Xero invoicing. So they've released another update about this, that on the 2nd of September, all invoicing users will automatically default to new version, the new invoicing, every time they log into Xero. However, the ability to access classic invoicing and sort of default back to classic invoicing for users will be available until the 20th of November.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of app improvements and system improvements. I'm a big fan of Xero. This one has personally hurt me. I've been switching back and forth. I sent 3 incorrect bills, with the wrong GST, a couple months ago for like one of our major clients. And, I set up their default to be, no GST because they're an overseas client. And the system didn't bring that through, on the new invoicing. Like that cost me, it cost me like a bit of reputation. The last thing you want as an accountant is to send a bad invoice. I like it. I like that they're, now we've got Apple Pay and Stripe Pay and Google Pay. I think the move is right. If I could give one bit of advice to Xero is please just do some more quality testing and, before we release to live, invoice. I've said this to you, Heather, there's 2 things you never mess up in a system. One is payroll and 2 is invoicing. And it's not that it messed up, but maybe this rollout, I think it's hurt a few clients.
Yes, and you do have quite a panic about it when it flips and you're like, oh, why did it flip? Because you don't have the memory of every single invoice and how it should set up. And you're like, okay, is this set up correctly? Is it not set up correctly? And it is stressful, that income side of it. And there needs to be a word for the button that you push, and as soon as you push it, you know that it was. You didn't realize it was wrong the second before you pushed it.
Yeah, and it's part of every tech update. Like there's risks of it. I remember when they released their reports. A lot of people struggled with their reports, and now they're the bread and butter of the system. Like Xero's reports are the market leading adjusted stuff. We're just in a little pain point.
And that was training. That was training. It was learning how to an extent.
Well, there's a really interesting one on that. The old reports versus their new reports. You can actually make their new reports not make sense if you get your negatives and positives and negatives with your debit credits around the wrong way, where the old reports actually had better controls. So sometimes there is some win of like how things were originally built.
Yes. Absolutely. And to Intuit, they've introduced QuickBook Ledgers, which is a low-cost solution for simple clients. And and Lodge IT, which is kind of an integrated add-on, but it's quite deep within Intuit, have added legal documents to QuickBooks Tax to support the general legal requirements for your clients. And you can choose from a template of libraries or customize your own documents. And with client data automatically pre-filling into the associated documents to help you streamline your workflow and save time. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of a interesting and useful addition there.
Yeah, their QuickBooks is making a real play into the accounting market. I looked at their financial statements on their ledgers the other day. They look pretty good. For a smaller accounting firm, it's got some real legs. It's pretty well priced. I'm probably still recommending Xero because it's got maybe a bit more bells and whistles and customization abilities. But I've got a few colleagues, and or not colleagues, but like connections that love the QuickBooks marketplace and the QuickBooks processing for their accounting firm.
Absolutely. And to MYOB, well, the big news out of MYOB was they have had a name change. The MYOB Advanced Platform, which is their ERP solution, has been rebranded as MYOB. I should have practiced this. Acumatica, maybe that.
Bang on.
Was it? Okay, good. Which I had never heard of, but does seem to be quite large when I explored it. So you perhaps had heard of it.
Yeah. This is a partnership model. The MYOB Advanced, they effectively took the Acumatica model and brought it to Australia and branded it MYOB. So now there's just a bit of global consistency about how it looks. It's a solid system. I've helped one client, that's a gym with one large kind of purchasing entity use it. It's a pretty good system. It's probably not as intuitive as the others, as some of the ones we're used to, but like for really large, not really large, but mid-sized to large businesses with some really complex accounting, it works. It's it's not maybe as integrated as others. Like its app stack are a bit smaller, but it's good to see moves in this market from MYOB. I still think that mid-market above Xero and QuickBooks and MYOB Account Right or MYOB Online, this is where they're trying to play with this product.
I noticed that Acumatica is having a conference in Las Vegas in January. It's interesting because January for Australians is holiday time, but not for them. So it's actually on like the 26th of January. So
Australia Day. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be doing something else.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Tyler, as always, for joining us here to talk about accounting technology updates. And this was for June, July. What plans do you have for the next month or so?
Yeah, thanks. I'll be staying in Europe until this HR and payroll project, gets the thumbs up from the HR manager over on the East Coast. When she's comfortable and everyone's getting paid the right amounts and everyone's getting onboarded the right amount, I will be here. Presenting at a conference, CFO Stacked, on I think it's the 12th of September, in Marylebone in London, which is sponsored by Xero and created by Mayday. David Tuck there has done a fantastic job. After that, I'm going to be working in Bali with one of my podcast hosts, Joe Newbold. So he and I are like trying to get that business up and running. That's my next couple of months. I'll probably come back with a good tan, but maybe less sleep than I'm used to.
Fantastic. That all sounds very exciting there. And so for me, I think I'm heading off to Nashville next week. I'm spending the whole of August in the USA with a week in Houston, a week in Nashville, a week longer in New York. I'm visiting various accountants there and attending Nashville XeroCon. So looking forward to that. And then just after that, I'm attending NetSuite Suite World in Las Vegas. So please, if anyone's interested in NetSuite Suite World, get in contact with me, talk to me about it, ask me questions so I can find things out for you. And if you are going, touch base with me. Normally free spot.
we will. My business partner Dan is he was previously a CFO as well, and he's like a NetSuite lover. And he's used it in multiple businesses. So I'd be really interested to get your updates from that on the next episode. Because NetSuite's a great product. Like, they're making moves. So, and also Nashville's awesome. Like, I think it's one of the coolest cities, maybe second only to like New Orleans in America. So have a great time, buy a cowboy hat, go to a country bar,
Noel
enjoy.
Tofino was trying to buy me a trucker hat. I was like, Noel, my hair. What am I going to do in a trucker hat? But Noel Tofino from My Accounts has very kindly organised a big Nashville barbecue for all of us arriving on the Tuesday, the day before the event. So that's lovely of him.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm jealous. And I hope you guys have a great time. I think it's great for America and Xero to get closer and closer. There's still a lot of opportunity there for Xero, in my opinion.
It is. Accounting is a global language, and it's actually great that you're traveling, and then you're going to be traveling the whole time, but we're both sort of traveling and talking about accounting technology, and hopefully inspiring people to both learn about technology and learn about project management and explore the opportunities that are out there. There's a big world in the accounting technology world that you can explore. Thank you so much, Tyler.
Thank you, Heather. We'll talk again soon.
Will do. Absolutely. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. We record this episode for the Accountants Daily podcasts, as well as pushing it out through our own channels. I do encourage you to keep up to date with modern accounting technology landscape by subscribing to my newsletter, which is the Accounting Apps newsletter, accountingapps.io. Join the conversations happening in the Accounting Apps Mastermind community, and like and subscribe to this podcast. I'm your host, Heather Smith, and it's pretty easy to find me on all social media channels. I look forward to connecting with you.